Good morning again. I'm the lucky man who will be spending the next 4 hours with you guys. I'm sorry for the little delay that happened this morning. It's beyond the control of DKG in actual fact. My objectives today are three. Number one is to share with you the UAE Innovation framework and criteria, and of course the sub-criteria. There is always sub-criteria. Two is to go through the application process for participation in this extremely exciting award. And the third one is just to show you how the assessment will be carried out and what would your role be in that assessment. The minute I entered this room this morning, they cabled me, one here and the other one in the other side in my pocket. It seems we are in a very changing world. Digital instruments everywhere, in the kitchen, in the house, in the car, in our pockets, in our bags, and so on. I was very surprised to note that the number of instruments, digital instruments in particular, by the year 2100 will be more than all the grains of sand in all the beaches of the world. The world is becoming digital. The world is becoming competitive. The change is taking everybody by surprise. That's why many organizations who cannot ride the wave of change will not be with us for a long time. In the old days, the life expectancy for a company would have been around 8 years. But nowadays, that shrunk to around 15 years. And any one of you who thinks that the market is so beautiful and they don't need change, and they don't need innovation, in actual fact will not benefit much from this session. This session is for the futurists, for the people who will consider the world in its entire, well, the whole world is their city. The competition is no longer limited to your businesses here in Dubai or even in the UAE. I am the proud person who managed to, through research, to come up and to author this framework and the criteria and whatever follows on it. I believe that the model is definitely going to help you to improve your performance, your competitiveness, your productivity, your relationship with all your environment, customers, suppliers, partners, employees, and so forth. I'm sure you believe in that. Otherwise, you will not waste your time and be here with me today. So I will not be slow in talking. Sometimes I probably will be talking at the speed of light when things are not important. But whenever we come to an important point, I will do my best to slow down so we'll all be on the same page. You can stop me at any moment and ask. I think I can answer to whatever there is in this model. Let's probably move on to what we believe is the time is giving us. Change, although it brings a lot. Let's welcome Mr. Mohammed. Clap for Mr. Mohammed if you don't mind. Another commitment from the board of directors of DG, Dubai Quality Group. The world does not only give us challenges, it also gives us opportunities. When I looked at the definition of innovation, I found out there are about 60 definitions. In actual fact, I was impressed with about 30 of them, and I registered those 30 and put it on my page on the Facebook. Okay? So definitions mean a lot of things to different people. The innovation means different things to different peoples. But irrespective, whatever business you are in, you will find something that would fit with that business. Some organizations, after we probably will go through the entire framework and its criteria, will feel that maybe it's not the right time now to apply. It's too challenging. I say, go ahead. Even if you get 2 stars, at least it will show you what are your gaps. And you have to start somewhere. Okay? There is no such thing as let us delay it for a little while. The innovation is the answer for all the complications and to the tsunami of change. In actual fact, it is a tsunami. And we noticed that the organizations who were good riders of change managed to compete. There's another thing maybe I need to say at the outset. I looked at the innovation index at the level of national levels around the world. And I noticed that between 2011 and 2014, the first and second positions changed, which means people are capable of competing and being at the top. Always innovation was dominated, say, by the United States and Japan. Now you'll be surprised that South Korea are at the top of the list. India is moving up. Brazil is moving up. Okay? So irrespective wherever you are now, you can always position yourself in a better place, a more competitive place. This is how we define innovation. Among all the definitions I looked at, we define it as something you can create, something new to the market, to the city, to the customers, to your type of work, to your services, to your products, something new that you create, creating the new, or rearranging the old in a new way. Okay? What does that mean? That means we have 2 ways of innovating. One is the incremental innovation, whereby we look at our processes, our structure, our business model, our profit model, and try to improve it in such a way that will improve our competitive positioning in this world. The second one is to come up with something new. And if you noticed in the definition, it says, or. In the definition, it says, innovation is the creation of the new or the rearranging of the old in a new way that will deliver value to people. People look for value. And people who are looking for value are all kinds. We have so many different generations now around us. And the value from the perspective of each of those generations could be different. Going back to the word or, I would say the second part, the repositioning of yourself, is probably easier than the first part. But I would encourage you probably to go on both. You will have teams within your organizations working on the repositioning of yourselves, your products, your services, while the other part of your organization probably is creating the future product, the future services, and so on. So I would love to see the word and replacing the word or. Those are the 2 dominant types of innovation. You will hear a lot of types like disruptive innovation, sustainable innovation, incremental innovation, transformational innovation, and so on. But generally, they all revolve around either creating something new, some new product, some new service, or improving something that you had for a long time. Wherever your strengths, make it even better, improving your competitiveness in the market. Now, from so many types of innovations, we took what they call the 10 types of innovation, because we found out that this would suit the culture of this part of the world more than probably an industrial nation like Japan or Germany. So the 10 types are very simple. They are divided into 3 categories. Category 1, which is here, it is innovation within the way your business is configured. How do you do business within the organization? We call that anything that you do inside your organizations, like your profit model, the network, and I'll explain each one of those in a minute, your structure, how you're structuring your relationships within the organization, and your processes. Those 4 types are within and inside the heart of your organizations, and they are within your grasp. The second area or category where you can innovate in what we call the offering. What do organizations offer? They offer either a service or a product. And here, we're talking about your product performance, your service performance, or your product system in totality, from the minute you think about producing it until it is down in the market. You can innovate in those areas. The third one is the front stage. If you consider this is a stage, we have a back kitchen, and we have a front, and in between we have, between the 2 of those, there is the relationship, which is the offering. In the backstage is what happened, really, what we call the customer experience. The stage where the real interaction happens between your organizations and your customers. And then here we talk about your service. We're talking about the channels to deliver those services. We're talking about your brand and how it is in the minds of the people dealing with you, and about customer engagement. How do you keep customer engaged? And through the session today, we will see that top innovators, they take 50% of their innovation, whether it's a product or service, they take it from the outside world. That's what we call open innovation. When we talk about Procter & Gamble as example, they say not all smart people are working for us. There are many smart people around the world, and we would like to hear from them, take ideas, share, create services jointly with them, create products jointly with them. And this is a practice which would save you a lot of efforts and resources, and probably you need to accept it. There is no longer that we will stick to what we are good at. Maybe somebody else can help us make it better. So these are the 3 categories. What happens inside the organization, we have 4 types of innovation. What we offer to the world outside of us, there are 2 types of innovation, and there are 4 when it comes to our relationship and when we really develop what we call the customer experience. Now, what they found in research, they found that the strength in number. The more you have of these 10 innovations going side by side, the better you become. The better you become. They found out that organizations, this is the average innovators. Average innovators would have about, on average, 1.8 of the types. In other words, 2 or below. It says here 0 to 2. There are 84% of organizations, they stick to 1 to 2 of those organizations, of those innovations, those types. These are innovators, but they are the average innovators. While we find out there is only 16% who go for 3 or more of these types. When we come to the real innovative organizations, we find out that the average, 71% of those organizations, they have an average of, well, from 3 to 10 types of innovation. Average would be about 3.6 types. 3.6 types is the average. And they would go for either 3 or 5 or 6. I never come with, I haven't seen one that has all the 10 types. I have seen organization with 8 types. So we would encourage you not to focus only as example on the customer experience type of innovations and forget about your internal configuration, or only focus as the tradition taught us on the product or services. Many of the organizations which were studied in the area of innovation, 175 organizations, they found out that a lot of them are focusing on the product and product system. But when they looked at the money, they found out that the organizations who have more on the customer experience are making more profit and return than the people who are focusing on product nowadays. Okay? So if we to look at this, you will ask yourself, what does that mean to us? If we talk about, by the way, we will put this on the Dubai Quality Group shared folder so you can go through it to remind you, just to remind you. Plus you have the booklet, the manual which was distributed to you. Profit model talks about how you make your money. As example, if you are in the automotive industry, do you manufacture? Do you rent a car? Or do you sell a car? What is your model for making money? Your business model here. When you talk about network, how you connect with others to create value, with your partners in particular. No man is an island nowadays. And you cannot just have an internal focus if you want to be competitive. External focus is important. But when you have external focus, a lot of us have that now, but you have to be internal and future focus. And if you remember a minute ago, we spoke about the 2 types, about the new creation or the incremental. If I am a decision maker, I will always be biased towards the new. That doesn't mean I will forget about the incremental, but I will be biased towards the new. When it comes to resources, to activities, people, how many people involved in these things, how much money we investing in funding in these things, resources and activities. When we talk about resources, also about competencies, because to effectively implement innovation, it's not enough to have the resources. You can have all the money in the world. If you do not take care of the competencies, your core competencies, then probably you will not have the balance. I think they go hand in hand. There has to be an alignment with the use of resources and the use of talent of your people. The competencies means the knowledge that you have in the heads of your people, the experience and the attitudes. But when you talk about corporate core competency, I think you need to find out that one and really focus on it. The only one organization that comes to my mind when we talk about innovation as a competence is probably 3M. And they're producing continuous, let me say, stream of products and services on an annual basis. When we come to the structure, how do you organize yourself within the organization? Is it enough to have this ugly hierarchical pyramid structure? Or are you have an open horizontal structure where the communication flows also between the top and the below and the left and the right and the north and the south and the lot? This is, and how do you really organize your teams when you're dealing with what we call the innovation portfolio, innovation projects, innovation programs, and so on. Processes, everybody knows it. the input, the throughput, and the output. Here we talk about how you use your signature or superior methods to do your work, okay? Nowadays, the maximum I could see in the last maybe 20 years, people talking about re-engineering, process improvement, automation, digitization, and that is probably the one we need to look at the end of the day. I cannot see an organization to be with us in 10 years if they have not yet decided to have a platform whereby the digital technology is used. These are not my opinions, guys. Actually, I didn't have such an opinion until I went through so many publications. I looked at the Innovation Union, which is in Europe, for Europe 2021, and I see how much efforts and resources they are putting in that. I looked at every department in the United States, and I saw that this become the icon, this become the center piece, if you like, of their innovation efforts, technology. Product performance, how you develop distinguishing features and functionalities. I mean, look at your mobiles now. These are products, right? Can you remember the mobiles 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Can you remember 30 years ago when we had the big computer rooms and then mini computers and the PCs? People thought PC will never take off. Now we're not talking only PCs, everything is in your mobile. You are well connected, okay? More than the grains of sand in all the beaches. This is what the technology will be in the future. When we talk about customer engagement, or let me maybe start from product system, how you create complementary products and services to support your core products and services. How you support and amplify the value of your offering, okay? Now, would you like to come to a hotel, a 5-star hotel, without having a valet parking there? What would you think of those people? That's an extra complimentary service to go with it. How you deliver your offering to customers and users. That is the channels. On the 11th of November, just weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, more a little bit, Alibaba in China sold in one single day, 11th of November, $25.3 billion worth of product, sent to 200 locations around the world, countries and regions, okay? This is a channel of delivering. But you could be delivering your service through a counter. You could be delivering it through your website. You could be delivering it from there are different channels and types of offering your value. Always the center point here is the value proposition. When we invest our efforts, our structure, our configuration inside, our relationship is about how we create value to the end recipient. Yes?
Dr. Carson, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I would like to take you a little advance and then come back. So you did show us those 10 points.
10 types of innovation.
Of innovation criteria.
Yeah.
Now, I think I'm going to be jumping a little advanced because I came prepared, right?
Yeah.
Now, in your
Great, let's clap for her because she came prepared.
Yeah.
I don't think that gentleman came prepared. Look at him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I actually went through your entire criteria and I kind of aligned it to where our organization meets your innovation criteria.
Yes.
Now, in your criteria, you have given 3 areas: innovation capability, innovation drivers, and innovation results.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Now, I'm just wondering, in these 10 points that you put, 10 areas, but in those drivers and capability results, I see 12 components. Now, are those 12 components going to fit into these 10?
No. Let me tell you one thing. Number one, you will not find this in the criteria directly. You will not see them in the directly. As example, when we talk about network, in the criteria you will see something about co-creation. Okay, you remember there's something about partnerships and the drivers, the fifth driver. We take the whole concept, all the practices of innovation, and we try to put them in such a manner that would really fit better. As example, when you talk about training, it's a capability. When you talk about technology, it's a capability. Here, where would you find technology in the 10 innovation things? This is our enablers for the, where would you find it? You find it in the processes, as example. You'll find it in the brand. You will find it in the, the relationship, because some relationships nowadays, do you use YouTube? Do you use YouTube? What is your relationship with YouTube? Do you see them? Do they see you? If they didn't have the platform and you didn't put the video, would there be any relationship? There wouldn't, right? The relationship happened the minute you put your video there. Then it happens. They have the platform, you have the video. Then we have a relationship, a digital relationship. Now, when you go to ADNOC to fill your car, somebody would come and fill it, right? Or in some other places, maybe you, the one, will do it. It's another type of relationship. But if you were a nurse and taking care of an old man or woman, as that is a special type of relationship. Now, when we talk about the model, we do not go and say this belongs to that and this, but we take it in its totality, because we're talking criteria here, we're talking model. Now, we say there are basic infrastructure, but this gentleman here, Mr. Muhammad, when he said the model, he said to me, what is infrastructure? You remember that? So, because when somebody says to me this, I believe that other people may also have this concern. So I created what we say capability. If you do not have the funding allocated for innovation in products and services, forget it. If you want innovation without training your people in the tools like design thinking, like working together in a thing, if you want people to create innovation sitting in a meeting room with those chairs, strictly they're probably even classic chairs, again, forget it. You need to have. And where did I take this? I didn't take it from the 10 types of innovation. Where I took that we need labs, or what we call innovation zone, or innovation center, or whatever. Where did I take the training, that it's a must and it's a basic capability should be there? Where did I take the funding? I took it from the Innovation Union. There are about 60 different references came to build this model together. Okay? But wherever you go, they say it is not really productive to have people doing innovation in a conference room, as example. You have to have a place prepared, ready to make people open their minds, share ideas. That it is tooled. The tooling is so important. The connectiveness of that place is important. So therefore, we put there, if you noticed, in the capability, we put innovation zone or innovation center. That will help people come from different places and put it there. In the mastermind, if you noticed and you were prepared, we have leadership, we have teams, and we have individuals. And what you would see that when it comes to leadership, we have innovation directors. Fantastic, no problem, because a function should be there to coordinate. But what we end up thinking, that this innovation director is the super brain of the organization. And they will come with the innovative services and product and tell us do this and do that. And that's where a lot of people are really failing. Second, they go and say, let us form a cross-functional innovation team. And this team is formed in 2017. In 2019, the same team. In 2020, the same team. Those people, after working together for 6 to 9 months, they will develop what we call team think. Therefore, what happens? they become, again, the traditionalists, which we know before, and so forth. So when we come to teams, when we talk about innovation teams, we say, yes, form a cross-functional team for every innovation program or project. And whenever they go for another program, remove 50% of them, even if you love them. Remove 50%, bring new blood and fresh blood. So therefore, they will always be able to see the future from different perspectives and so on. Because if you put a team together for a long time, they end up like a department again. And there could be one person who could influence everybody. And we will end up having the entire innovation journey in the hand of one man or brilliant woman. There could be. So this is an example of how you look at teams when we talk about innovation. Okay, funding. We say, oh, we don't have the money. Then I say to them, how did this guy in Facebook manage to have one of, well, I wish he's my friend. Maybe some of his money will come to me. Okay, how did he manage now to be one of the most expensive brands on planet Earth? Did he have a lot of money? I guarantee you, each one of your companies has more money than him to start innovation. Guaranteed. Okay? Steve Jobs. Whenever you talk innovation, you remember him. The guy who had your iPad and iPod and iPhone and everything. How much money did he start with? So when we talk about funding in innovation, we talk about crowdfunding, something which we're not practicing here. The crowd are willing to put some money in a successful future product, okay? Crowdfunding. Crowdsourcing. Sometimes none of you can have enough cash to employ 100 scientists, as example, to handle breast cancer. But through crowdsourcing, you can get the best of the brains helping you by contributing. And that's called crowdsourcing. That's how we look when we talk innovation. Not all smart people working for you guys. There are many of them working outside, and many of them will be willing to help you if you have a good cause that will add value to the people. Innovation, at the end of the day, is about adding value to every human being. I said to you at the beginning here, think of yourself as the world citizens. Think of the world as your city, not Dubai, not Abu Dhabi, not UAE, but the whole world. Bring something that will do it, okay? We have now some organizations who have more cars than any rent-a-car, more than any one single manufacturer. Uber, he doesn't have any car. The man saw a value that many people would welcome. Do you know how Uber came about? Any one of you knows how Uber came about? The man took his wife for a dinner, and in there, if you drink and drive, you will be in trouble. So he took a taxi, and on his way out of the restaurant, he kept trying to stop the cars to take a taxi to take him. Nobody stopped. It's like the Pakistani driver in Ramadan. When I try to stop them, they will not, at the time of iftar, they will just go very fast because they also need to have iftar. So he saw an opportunity. He saw an opportunity, but without the technology that exists at the time, his time, the satellite navigators, I don't know what they call them, so many things, and he connected, and he came up with Uber. Any one of you used Uber? Yes. You did. They evaluate their driver, the passengers do. The driver evaluates the passenger. So they're trying to really create the best value possible. Airbnb, anybody heard of it? They have more rooms than any hotel chain in the world. 2 kids started it. Look at them. Very successful. So when we say funding, of course you have to have some fun. But if you say, oh, because the limitation of organizations normally, oh, we don't have the funds, we don't have the time, we don't have the talent, we have what we call resistant to change, they will come with all excuses to shoot a new innovative product or a new, and there were stories about that, big stories. When the PC came around, what did they say? It will never fly. Why? Because they used to sell this huge computer to huge amount of money to huge organizations, business to business, B2B, as they call it, and they ignored the PC. And look at the PC now in every organization. Am I right? Does anybody dispute that? So when we say about the foundation, we say if you don't have this, just simply forget it. But we don't say to you, oh, if you don't have money, don't go for innovation. You have to find a way, innovative way, to get that money. Okay, training your people. You don't need to send them to expensive courses and whatever. Nowadays, the knowledge is available on the internet. The YouTube could be one of your best resources for that. Yes, I didn't tell you about my rule, but I'll tell it in a minute, about telephones. I love those gadgets. But let me tell you something. Because of the time factor, and we want to do it. When I leave my home, and if people saw me with a tie, and my jacket normally, I put it in my hand, and my computer, those little boys and girls in my neighborhood, 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, I see shine in their eyes, so happy. And I say to myself, why are they so happy? They want to get rid of me because I'm leaving or something. Because they also see the driver coming to pick me up. So they know I'm going. Later on, I discovered it's not that's not the reason. The reason they know I normally come after lunchtime nearly with my pockets full of telephones. The best around. iPhone, what is your mobile? Samsung, and they only look for the latest models. I mean, this girl, Mona, 4 years old, she will not accept Samsung. Okay, she wants the latest. And they consider me to be the mobile daddy. I give them gifts, Samsung, iPhone, and whatever. But I'm not rich. I don't go and buy those mobiles. I normally confiscate any mobile that rings in my session. Okay? So any one of you, if you love your mobiles, keep it on silence. Keep it on silence. Okay, you have all the time, go around and talk as much as you like. Okay, otherwise, all your mobiles will end in JVC today. All right, did I answer your question? So you don't take one and you say this applies to it. When we talk technology, it applies nearly to all of this. Yes, okay, when you talk teams, it applies to all of these. When you talk leadership, it applies to all of these. This is how you should think of it. Okay?
I'm going to wait for it to completely get over.
Sure, absolutely. And I am so happy that you created some involvement. So for the rest of the people, because what you just said may also goes around in the minds of others. So you were I would say you were the voice of the audience. That's a brilliant. Let's clap for her once again. So, when we talk about brand, how you represent your offering and business, always, let me give you two brands now. Intel Inside, you see that little brand, right? Intel Inside, where do you see it? In your PCs, right? And you see Team Power International, which is my company. Which one really you think is a brand? Or when you talk Emirates Airline, and then you say, I am sometimes critical of our airline in Jordan, or Jordanian airline. Which one you think is a brand and has more value? Okay, Al-Malakiyya. Adidas or, no, Nike and Adidas probably close enough, but there are other people who manufacture a type of Adidas products. Okay? But let me tell you here one point when it comes to brand. There is something called disruptive innovation. And most of the successful innovation start as what we call destructive innovation. We have a great organization at the very top, leader in their market, and then say Mercedes or Chrysler. And then little company come from the bottom, bringing something which we used to call junk, a Toyota, and Mercedes will say, oh, let them. I will not bring myself down to compete with their segment of the market. So they ignore them. They are too big, too proud to come down. Because to come down, it means less profit, less prices, and they will be selling to everybody. But when Toyota came out, they managed to sell at cheap price to a different type of audience. When you say destructive, is an organization who will go and look for totally a segment which not being handled by that top organization. In the case of Toyota, they want poor people who cannot afford luxury cars. But what happened during the process? Toyota kept improving the incremental innovation. Toyota, in 1 year model, they enter probably more than 2,000 little adjustments while they are. The first car and the last car of the 2017 are not the same. They have what we call the Kaizen Tian, continuous little improvement, and then we end up with improved car. Now, Toyota is beating Mercedes. About 15 years ago, they achieved that goal, okay? When we talk about innovation strategy, what did Toyota say? When they were still down, what did they say? Beat Benz. Very simple vision. Every mechanic, every engineer, everybody in the organization will understand what it means to beat Benz. So look at Benz, what their weaknesses, see what their strengths, avoid their strengths and go for weaknesses, attack them in their weaknesses, maybe their chain of agents and so forth. And now they are on the top, okay? So they started as a destructive innovator, small things. Now India is very good at this destructive innovation. India has millions of people, billion plus now, I believe. They reached the billion. Am I right? We have a lot of Indians here. Could anyone and everybody in India afford Zanussi fridge or LG? No, India is full of poor people, people who live in the streets. So somebody genius comes with a fridge made of hard board with a fan in it, and at least people can have some cold water in it. LG, would they go down and start looking at this segment of the market? No way. They will laugh. But this now is moving up. And sooner or later, they will take over most of the market through what we call incremental innovation. That's what we call disruptive innovation. When one organization goes to a new, totally new segment with very cheap, crude type of product or service, and slowly start moving up. Now, who is destructing Japanese? Do you know who are the destructive for the Japanese automotive industry? Koreans, Kia. And who is the one now disrupting the Kia? The Chinese. You see, this is how it is. This is called disruptive type of innovation, but it is, as you notice, it's incremental. If you see the word destructive, but the difference between this type of innovation and others, that you normally start with a crude thing, cheap price, different segment which was not using that type of thing, and then you move forward with whatever you innovate. Service, we spoke about it. Okay, anyway, when you see so many, I said to you, 60 different definitions. Customer demand more. Investors demand more. Partners want more. The community wants more. These are challenges. So when we are faced with so many challenges, we end up with what we call innovation maze. Confusing. hard to understand. Many people, if you ask them before, they will confuse between invention and innovation. They will confuse between innovation and creativity, and so forth. So now, we here, with the help of those guys in the Dubai Quality Group, we define different challenges. Now, in the private sector industry, we could not find one structured framework. There are ideas here and there, and when you have so many definitions, so many books, I think there are more books in the last maybe 15 years on innovation and creativity than any other topic. Okay, we have different definitions. We lack a structured innovation model, framework. We have limited resources of measurement. And by the way, we have developed measures which you will see today, which are second to none, and I tell you, second to none in the world, because we have looked at everything that's available, and we came up with the things that will help. In actual fact, if you meet 50% of those measures, I will salute you. But we have to start somewhere. These are to open your eyes to where to focus, what to measure, what to look at. Okay? Then we had the assessment. I looked at many of the innovation and other awards, and we found out they all strictly look at what we call desktop assessment. People apply, some expertise come from what we call them assessors, look at the application, and then they give them a score. And then they point their areas of improvement and their strength. That's called desktop assessment. Let me tell you, although the intention is good, although it is close to the truth, but we, from experience, practical experience, we found out that top desk assessment, paper assessment, about sometimes 400% wrong. We just finished assessment to an organization, and not in this award, but in another one, Taqdeer Award, which I was also the lucky guy to set the standards for the labor welfare. What we found out, on paper, they got 400 points. On real, they got 98 points after the site visit. So in this award here, the Dubai Quality Group and us decided we will not fool our participating companies by just doing a desktop. Everybody can put a fantastic paper. People can always make, if they have good authors, they can put books on innovation and performance. So we decided it's not enough. We'll do also a site visits. We'll come to you in your offices and see and have a touch. In actual fact, a good assessor, the minute he will enter through your doors, he would feel if this organization is traditionalist or full of people who are no-sayers and just talking about innovation and not doing it. So what we have done, we recruited 102 assessors so far. Last week, or the week before, I cannot recall, I am very old, my memory is not that good, we trained 55 assessors. We qualified them, 3 days of training. And the second group will start 15th, 16th, and 17th. I would encourage you to nominate somebody from you to become an assessor, to attend those trainings. He can help you in your internal assessment. And it's free. But the registration costs about 480 dirhams because he has to get a beautiful card that he's a member of our team and so forth, and so on and so on. So I would encourage you to send to, where is the lady Femina? Femina is the person in charge of the registration. And if we get from you some people, they will be your internal help. They will probably make a quick, what we call internal assessment, and then they will show you where to focus. I think they will be capable to do that. Okay, so also we found out in the private sector, we don't have such a recognition for the organization. Yesterday, we had a meeting with the PMO office, and they praised the fact that we are taking care of the private sectors, because they are taking care of the government sectors, of course. Okay? So that is the reason why this beautiful model was born, and I made a little bit adjustment to please Mr. Mohammed. Let's clap for Mohammed. ذكني. أحسن صار لما حطينا capabilities. Okay. So the model consists of 3 criteria. One, the innovation capability, which our friend, our lady here, just mentioned. That I normally write people's name on a little piece of paper, so when I call them, I'd remember them, but I'm sorry, I don't know.
I'm Dr. Sonita.
Dr. Sonita, yeah, you're from one hospital coming to?
No, I'm a professor.
You are a professor? Brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. In that case, that mind here is full of information. God help me. Okay, you are more than welcome. Okay? All right, so we have 3 main criteria. But each criteria has what we call sub-criteria. It's becoming fashion nowadays to have sub-criteria. Okay? So in the area of innovation capability, as we discussed with Dr. Sunil, we have the funding, the training, technology, and innovation center. And I gave you a little glimpse about some of them. Now, in the drivers, we have, I think, the most important is this one here. Innovation masterminds. Who are the people who trigger the innovation, manage the innovation, assess the innovation, provide the resources for innovation, provide their time, their efforts, and so forth. And these are the leaders in the organization, the teams, and notice I said teams, not team, and the individuals. How much are they engaged to really make this thing happen, the innovation happen? Then we have innovation strategy. Here, it could be a standalone strategy document about innovation. It could be part of your corporate strategy. But in both cases, it has to be aligned with your corporate strategy. If you have it as a separate document called Innovation Strategy 2030 as example, it has to be aligned with your corporate strategy. You cannot have some people going left and the other people going right or north or south or whatever. We need to focus our efforts on whatever in one area. And in actual fact, even your corporate strategy really should be an innovative strategy, either taking care of the present and the positioning of your organization or taking care of the future of the organizations. Okay? So then we will go to portfolio. And here I think where the importance of managing innovation comes to play. Objectives of your strategy are objective. They cannot happen by themselves. I never heard of an objective happening by itself. You can, even at personal level, some people, as example, at the end of the year, now soon we'll see it, they will start putting objective about losing weight, making money, and so on. And they will stick it in the fridge. They will stick it next to the mirror, so when they say their choppy face, whatever, that will motivate them to remember and whatever. Put your objective in all the walls of your organizations, in the corridors, everything. Will they happen? It will not. They will not be achieved. Objectives can only be achieved when you translate them to clear projects and programs, what we call initiatives. And these are the innovation initiatives. The beauty of this, you will have the luxury of having either initiatives to take care of the present and improve the positioning of the competitive position of your organization, or initiative taking care of the future of your products, services, processes, whatever, okay? So that is the innovation portfolio. They can come under different types of names and tags, normally short tags. As example, when you say partnering on innovation with our partners, that's an initiative. Or if you say like we have seen at the airport. Nowadays, you don't need to go through the system like in the old days. You can go, you have البصمة العين, huh? Huh?
Biometric.
Biometric?
Yeah.
Let's clap for MBA here. He came all the way to see you guys. Okay, biometric or whatever. So they can come in all shapes and sizes and budget and who's responsible and the scheduling and so forth. These are the core of all what we talk about when we come here. The management of the what we call innovation initiatives. They could be in processes, they could be in product, they could be in services, they could be in even your partnerships. Huh?
The 10 different areas or types of innovation.
You are very helpful. I can see in the body language, this lady supports what I'm saying. Let's clap for her. And she will tell us her name. There we have Dr. Sunil. Who are you?
I'm Marfat Mansour, the Director of Quality and Patient Safety at Al Zahra Hospital, Dubai.
MashaAllah. Did you see how big the title? Just even the director, you are the hospital director. Okay, well done, well done. Okay, did you clap for her? What are you waiting for? All right. So, then we have the processes. Innovation processes, like all other processes, but with a little bit of difference. The process, as you know, input, process, output, and then the outcome to the customer. Here, no, we have to go through what we call a funnel, because probably we'll start with 3,000 ideas. Then we have to go and filter those ideas through a certain funnel, which I will be showing you in a minute. And some of it will go to a reservoir. Some will, probably from 3,000 ideas, and this is what they say in those silly books I read about real experiences, that from 3,000 ideas, we may end up at the end with about 8 magnificent ideas, which are the initiatives. And out of those 8 initiatives, after implementation, one of them could change the world. This is how they say it. From 3,000 ideas, one of them will be wow. The other 7 probably will improve your performance in one way or another. So when we talk about a process, we go through what we call the creative process at the beginning: idea collection, idea generation, idea assessment, idea testing, idea. Then we go for what we call prototyping and testing. Then we bring it, we commercialize it. At the end of the funnel, there has to be a customer buying and paying for what you have done. If there is no such thing, no customer to pay for it, it is not innovation. Okay? Innovation, when there is a bill attached to it, when there is an invoice can be raised by your organization against it. Okay? So, the start with ideas, big number of ideas. We end up with limited number of initiatives, and at the end of the day, and there is a loop. After testing, we go back. There are what we call it the gate loop. We keep testing, arranging, correcting, and so on, until finally we send it to the customer. And normally, before you put it totally to the market, you have to have a little pilot. Less cost, less resources, less efforts, and so forth. This is it. Now, if we have done all this, so far, brilliant. But if it doesn't impact the life of people, if it doesn't make their life better, your customer, the people who bought it, if the community is not impacted for it, and if the business is not impacted positively by it, why do it? So the results, the fruit of your efforts in criteria 1 and criteria 2 should bring positive results, value for the recipient of your services. Can anyone dispute that Facebook changed the life of people? Can any one of you dispute that internet becoming, if we to add it to Maslow hierarchy of needs, becoming as important as food and water and whatever? Huh? I don't know why normally I don't put water as food. I think of food always as solid. I'm Jordanian, so you cannot blame me. So, community changes. Now there is another element, sustainability. And this is where you have to take care when you evaluate your initiatives. And I will show you the evaluation criteria, which I put together, taking from different places. But again, you can evaluate it the way you like. As long as it fits with your type of business, you can put your own evaluation criteria. However, some of it is a must. And we'll be going through that. So this is the model. What you will do, fundamentals and capabilities, we're giving them only 200 points out of 1,000, 20%. The drivers, we gave them 400 points, okay, 40%. And the results, 40%. Why were we lenient? You see, most of the awards, they give 50 for the enablers and 50 for the results. But because we know that results takes time here, at least in the first cycle, maybe the first 2 cycles, we'll keep only 40% for results to give you the chance to motivate you, because we don't want you to close the door and say, hell with this innovation. We don't want it. We want to encourage you to get better scores. In the future, probably the result will have 50%. But this, after the thing become matured enough, okay, when the probably the model will have some adjustment. Also, let me tell you, nothing is written in stone. This is a framework. From our experience, after you apply and we see what's happening, and the assessor, the qualified assessor, look at your application and visit you, we may do some adjustment. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, and we accept feedback, including feedback which is critical of us. Because if we don't do that, if we are claiming that we encourage open innovation, why don't we listen to you and have your ideas? That's what we call having a second very important source to improve the model. So your comments afterwards would be happy. Not now. We cannot go and reprint and restart all over again. After the assessment, everything, if you experience something which can improve the model, you will be more than welcome to give it to us. We'll be open. All right? So this is the thing. Let's go through the objectives. Number 1, we have 7 objectives. 5 of those are directed at the private sector. 2 of those are related to that, but one of them is to enhance or to, let me say, to spread the innovation culture throughout the industry in compliance with the UAE Innovation Strategy. We're lucky. The UAE already has a strategy, and this was something we looked at when we developed the model. Let's clap for the UAE government who gave us the UAE Innovation Strategy. Thank you. Tell me, yes.
With regards to the enablers, how many years of data are we looking at? If in case
How many years?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. And last night, I changed it. It used to say minimum 2 years. We said, because we said minimum 2 years is not good. So what I said, the last 2 years. There's a difference. Instead of saying minimum, which means you have to think maybe wider, I said, and here it's in the presentation, which will be available to you online, by the way. It says last 2 years. Most of the measures, last 2 years, because we know that the innovation movement in the UAE probably took real, say, drive in the last maybe 5 or 6 years, okay? So if you have 2 years results, it means you have been doing 2 years enablers. Very simple, because it's a cause and effect relationship. Which place are you from? From where? Ajman Free Zone. Let's salute Ajman Free Zone. Why this lady is different from you, in my opinion? I think she is more courageous than many of the people who are sitting at the very back seat there. She's sitting in the front. I do not bite. Why nobody sitting in here? Because we have a camera who takes from here. Never mind. Probably we have to remove those seats during the break. Okay. Ajman Free Zone, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah, nice guy. Used to be there. He's no longer there. He moved to the ports. Okay. Objective number 1, to support UAE Vision 2021 and National Innovation Strategy. Objective number 2, to promote innovation culture throughout UAE private sector organization. And the chairman and maybe some people in the Dubai Quality Group say, okay, it's a private sector. But what if we have profit-driven organization in the government sector? As example, Dubai Taxi. Because they're competing with the private sector, we will give them a chance to participate, okay? Any organization who can. In actual fact, in the first year, we would like to encourage everybody because the model is a good testing ground and is a good assessment tool for where you are in the area of innovation. To raise the level of innovation in the UAE private sector by setting innovation framework and standards, to support private sector companies to strengthen their innovation practices and capabilities to create sustainable value. Now here, to recognize, you will be rewarded. And the good thing about this organization here, Dubai Quality Group, they have been doing a lot of things good for the society. And when they introduced this, I was hoping we'll make some money from them. They said to me, no, not us. We have to do it free. So you're doing it free to promote the culture. So assessment free, you will get a feedback report, which is second to none, a beautiful feedback report. We already designed the template. All what we need is just to go and mirror what you're doing in that report. It will tell you where you can really improve. And by qualified, 3 assessors will evaluate every application to maintain integrity, okay? Now, to recognize and reward the leading innovative companies in the UAE, and I don't want you to worry about where you are now. What is important? Where you will be in the future. And we have to take the first step. If you take 2 stars, fine. You will strive to do the 3 stars in the future, the 4 stars, and I want you to remember the word destructive innovation. You will be like the Toyota who came and took over the automotive industry by surprise. And some of you may end up like the Google. You never know. There is no excuse for the people living in this country to say, oh, we don't have this or we don't have that. The internet left no excuse for anyone. Knowledge is available, expertise is available, and you can find many ways of getting funding for your business. I believe now in Dubai, we have what we call venture capitalists, and we have a lot of support from the government in that area. I will not talk about the benefits too much, because they are obvious. Anyone dispute that innovation would help you be better organizations, help you expand your market, make you more competitive, make you earn better money, and at the end, keep satisfied customers and community? Anybody dispute these benefits? I don't think so. Benefits are seen. When you look at somebody like Google, when you look at Uber, when you look at some of them, well, the one I like very much is Alibaba, because they are my in-laws, the Chinese, you see. I encourage my in-laws to be very innovative. And they just recently, by the way, I think they started at the same time with Dubai. They brought McKinsey to focus now on innovation in China. China has great objectives in the area of innovation. They want to be the #1 innovative organization, country in the world by the year 2030. And they're focusing mainly on satellites and You disputing what I just said? Okay, tell me, what is it you want to pass to them, because you don't have mic. The lady asking what? Which the lady is asking?
Number one, China want to be number one in innovation in which sector?
They want to be in satellite, artificial intelligence. They want to be number one in the world in the artificial intelligence. This is their real objective. Okay, but you have to remember, in government, they focus mainly on social innovation, environment, making people's life better, longevity, health, and so forth. But we as private organizations, we need to focus on satisfying our direct users and customers, and naturally, the community at large. Okay, so the benefits are many. This is for UAE. We are on the index, about number 35 now on the innovation index worldwide. With your help and other organizations' help, I'm sure, the government as well, I'm sure we can improve it. And I told you at the beginning that for so many years, the United States dominated number one. Now South Korea, who were not even number two. Okay, so this depends on how fast we are moving, how much time we use the creativity of our people and make it happen. But innovation doesn't come in a vacuum. You have to understand the needs and expectation and aspiration of your people. You have to indulge. You have to live their life. You have to wear their shoes and think the way they think, and then come up with something that will deal with their pains and concerns and so forth. Find out what's the pains, what is the concerns of your target segment, and live it, in reality, live it. They call it design thinking, to go and have empathy, and really understand what makes them feel bad, concern, and so on, and say to yourself, how can I remove that pain? How can I meet their day-to-day objectives? Because they have goals and objectives, and help them to do that. That's the first thing we have to start. Innovation starts with the customers, ends up with the customer, to be honest, okay? And in between, it's your job to do it. Now, benefits to participants, I think the biggest benefit is when you step, the first step in the road of innovation, you already are protecting your company against, let me say, against what? Against what do you think?
Quality and
No. I guess disappearance.
You're protecting it against disappearance. Because I told you, the life expectancy of a human being used to be 80, now it's going a little bit more. And there are researchers to say some people will start living about 500 years. Within the next 30 years, I think, they will be discovering the elixir of life that would make you live young and happy for 500 years. Many of you would be there to take that pill or injection. I don't know what they're going to do. Anyway, but the life span of an organization who's not going on innovation now is about 15 years. People who do not go to digital are also will be abolished. Now we're preparing people for future skills, for jobs that we never heard they exist, okay? We're preparing in schools or universities now, they should really focus on things that doesn't exist so far. There are so many changes happening, mind-boggling, frightening sometimes, okay? You will be having the help of professional assessor giving you a good feedback. You will also start working as an organization of a family, because innovation implies teams, implies relationship and partnership and collaboration. It will make you more, let me say, of a society player because of the crowdsourcing, open innovation, and crowdfunding and so forth. You will be a much better organization for sure. What do we have? We could have had number one and number two and number three, and we clap to them on a stage and give them the awards. But we thought, no, this is not the idea. The idea is to have as many winners as possible. So what we have done, we said, if you earn up to 299 points, you get 1 star. But it will also be justified. It will show you more areas for improvement than areas of strength. If you get from there to 399, you'll get 2 stars and so on. So the likelihood of you going to the stage, because anyone who gets 3 stars or more will be given the award by His Highness Sheikh Ahmed bin Saeed, the person who is the patron of this award, the sponsor of this award. Okay, and let's clap for His Highness Sheikh Ahmed for giving us this opportunity. And actually, when we asked him, we went with Fatima, the chairman of the group, and with Sulaiman, their CEO, Sulaiman, general manager? Yeah. We went there, and His Highness was given option where to keep it, to Dubai or what. He said, no, let it be for all UAE, because he's concerned about helping the private sector in the entire United Arab Emirates. That's why we have some Fardi of Ajman here. And Ajman people, this free zone of Ajman has more companies than many of the free zones we have in Dubai. Am I right? Yeah. Of course, and you're making a lot of money by that. Okay. Good organization. The maximum is the 5 stars, 700 points and above. Assume some organization gets 700 points, which is very difficult, to be honest, after you see the requirements. But assume that people who will get 5-star will not be allowed to participate in the second period. There has to be 2 years elapsed before they are allowed to come again. But people who have the 4-star, they have the chance next year to improve. The 3 stars also to improve. And I have seen one organization in the award for the labor warfare, they were on the lower side of 3 stars. This year, I couldn't believe it, how much improvement they made in 1 year. They got 4 stars easily, okay, and in the upper side. So they improved by many points. The same thing applies here. The minute you are in that road, life will be easy and you can make it. Now, which are the sectors which we are targeting? They are all sectors, really. I don't need to repeat them. There are 16 sectors here. Of course, health and well-being are at the top of the list. Education and learning are there. Technology and communication. And now, education and learning, especially universities, we know that they do research. Universities spend money on research. But still, all the research we have in our universities, around the whole Arab world, let me say, because this is what I know most, it doesn't equal the research and development made in Spain. Okay, one American university, like Stanford as example, they do research worth billions, not millions, billions of dollars. Okay, and they are supported. So we want to encourage universities to start graduating people for jobs that we don't know what they are now. What kind of future skills, what are they? Okay, we want them to graduate people who can use this gift given to us by God, the brain, okay? And help them to have the labs, help them to go for research, development, whatever. One of the biggest help for private sector industry in the innovation areas are research centers and universities. So probably it is time that the private sector also starts supporting universities' efforts. Technology and communication, transport, aviation, social community development, retail, consumer, all sorts of organizations. Do we have anybody from financial services here? Yeah, from banks? Banks? Which organization? Al-Fardan Exchange. Yes. Ah, very well, as rich as any bank, really. Okay, and they are innovative. They are one of the innovative organizations in their services, Al-Fardan Exchange. Okay, But these are, anyone doesn't see his type of organization here? Do you see your organizations mentioned here? So all of services in your case, yes. Yes, and also you have something like you renting spaces, you have, yes, services mainly in your case. Also, we allow for NGOs, because most of the NGOs here really need help. They are small in comparison to NGOs in advanced, innovative countries. These are the key activities, and we have reached, now we are in December, as you see, conducting training workshops to award assessors, selecting award judging committee, conducting award awareness. That's number 2 there, December, November. So we have finished by finishing 15, 16, and 17. We have an awareness session for, training for assessor. We'd have finished this. Now you have a deadline for your submission, 14th of January. That gives you 1 month and a week. But let me tell you about the submission. They will be doing it in the after break, and Sue will go through that with you, not me. That gives you a month and a week, but if to do it, you need to form a good team, cross-functional team, in order to make it really a good submission. And honestly, even if you don't get even a star, it is useful to go through the exercise for you, okay? Now, the submission documents by assigned team of assessors. They will look at a desktop assessment. Then they will conduct site visits. This will be arranged based on your availability, the schedule. They will be talking to you and agree the time and do it. But we need to finish everything by 17th of submission final assessment reports by 17th of February, because you see we have the Innovation Month, UAE Innovation Month. And it doesn't start, luckily, in Dubai until the 18th, because it starts in Ajman before us, starts in Abu Dhabi earlier. It's a whole month. So we need to have it on the 17th. The award ceremony will be on last week of February, and then in March you will receive what we call the feedback reports. Yes, ma'am.
For the site visits, how many days are we looking at?
1 day. 1 day. 1 day, normally from 9 to 2.
Okay. And
Because what they will do before they come, you see, assessors will assess the documents and the objective evidence which you have to upload with the application. But whenever they find something vague or not clear, we will send you a letter listing the things we would like to see. So if you are prepared, it can be done in less than 4 hours, because again, there will be discussion and so forth. Yeah, so you can count between 9 and 2, the site visit. But again, you will not be left in the dark. The team leader will send you a list of the documents he would like to see when he comes to you, mainly documents. If you have a lab, they will look at your lab.
not interviews with the management?
No. There will be, of course, a chat as example, but hopefully the application will be good enough that, you see, the more it is clear in the application, the less there will be questions. But there's something the assessor called area for verification, points to be verified during the site visit. After they look at the application, if they are satisfied with the answer and so on, but sometimes there will be something which is not clear, could be even vague. That's the one they will say, okay, this is a site visit issue, we'd like to clarify it with the management. Therefore, they will talk to management, yes.
Participant companies, for example, somebody submitted on 2018, can submit again on 19 or?
Yes, anyone who achieved 4 stars or below can apply the year next, in the next cycle. But people who achieved 5 stars, because we want to give chance for others, they will be doing it, say, a year after that, in the 2019. Okay? Yes?
Does the number of assessors depend on the volume of the organization?
No, it depends not on the size or whatever. What we do to create integrity, we have to have 6 eyes looking at your documents, 3 mouths talking to you, and therefore the assessment, whether it's a small or big organization, will be visited by a team leader plus 2 assessors. Okay? And now this will give integrity to the score because we create consensus. Each assessor will assess you separate on the document. They will not even show it to each other. Then after that, they do the consensus, and each has to point out why he gave this point or that. And all the points are given based on sub-criteria. So even the errors would be extremely limited. Hopefully there will not be much error, but remember, assessment is not a science, 1 plus 1, it's a subjective. However, when you have 3 assessors and we only assessing small portion, which is the sub-criteria, then the likelihood is. But on top of the assessors, there is 2 other elements of making sure that you get a fair assessment. There is what we call quality assurance. We have 2 people to do that. They are not even known to the assessor, and they could come sudden to any assessment. They will know the schedule. There may be sometimes you have 4 people coming, but that means one of them is not an assessor. He's from the management team to make sure that the assessor conducting it right. But again, on top of this, we have what we call the judging committee, who have access to all the reports and the scoring made. And those are dignitaries. They are people, respectable people from the society who will be on the judging committee. Okay? So that would also give integrity to the award. Yes, ma'am.
My question may be a bit ahead of what we're currently discussing, but in terms of are we limited to a certain number of words?
Yes, in each sub-criteria, which is a small sub-criteria, 200 words. Okay. But you can also put documents, 2 to 3 documents to prove it. Okay. And when we come to that, I'll ask you to give you a sample, and we'll put it for you on the website, not on the website, on the shared thing. What kind of documents the assessor will be looking for? Normally, this was not available even when we did the training for the assessors. We did not show them what documents to look for. But we developed it only, honestly, last night, around maybe 11 o'clock at night. We said, okay, those people will say, okay, which document you'll be looking for? When we talk strategy, what document are you looking for? When we talk this. So we prepared bullet points against each sub-criteria, what kind of things would the assessor be looking for? This will help you, okay? And we will be giving you the link to be able to come to see these things, and at the same time, to see what to prepare for each sub-criteria.
Is there a particular format that we need to be following in regards to?
Yes, the format already designed by us, and we will show it to you. And in each sub-criteria we're writing, please not more than 200 words, and so on, so on, so on. We're reminding you, instead of going back to the book, and we're leaving a space for you, which is expandable, to write. And at the bottom, it tells you to put the name of the thing. We made it, don't misunderstand me, we made it so easy for you to fill the application without pain, okay? Without pain.
Is there any sub-criteria that is mandatory?
No, no. What happens, some criteria like co-creation, some organization will not have it. But they will not be losing a lot because it has only a limited number of points. The score will be limited. So it will not, considering the total impact, will not. As example, also in the, on the results and the measures, we look at an item, say patents. If we talk about patents, there are about 5 measures. If you have 2, that's good enough. And we told the assessor, if they have 2 of those measures taken care of, forget about it, because we put the maximum possible. It could include, we say, it could include, but it's not, but the criteria in total, they support one another. However, When you say, as example, partnerships, in partnership we talk about co-creation, crowdsourcing, and open innovation. You may be doing only open innovation and crowdsourcing, or maybe you're doing this or that. That's okay, but you will be scored against those two. Yeah. That's now what we'll be doing. I finished the first thing. All what I have been saying up to this moment was just an introduction and overview. Huh? So let us, yes. This gentleman wants me to...
Within this section, so I had a question on the categories, right, or the sectors, actually.
Yes.
If you are probably overlapping between sectors, is there anything that you identify yourself in a core sector? And my other question is, say you've been awarded 4-star and above in one sector.
Yeah. No, there is no such thing as 4-star or above in one sector. There is no such thing. What happens, we have 1,000 points. They are divided by the sub-criteria and not the criteria. Say criteria has 200 points, but it has 4 elements underneath it. Each has 50 points. Okay, as example, in the capabilities, basic capabilities, training has 50 points, technology 50 points, budget 50 points, and the other one in the capability, technology, we said it. Anyway, you'll see it in a minute. It's divided by the sub-criteria. Okay, the criteria has a total, say, of 400 points, but we have 5 drivers, and each driver has subs. So you will see it. Yeah, these are here, but no, show me. Yeah, this is it. Look, innovation capability. Innovation center, if you have it, you will take 50 points. But some organizations will have a proper innovation center that is a hideout for people to talk, and they have, it will help them be creative and so on, and it's well equipped. You're talking about 50 points. But some people will say, oh, and I visited one organization in Dubai here, a nice organization. Although we have fantastic centers. Ministry of Interior has, the police has, Emirates Airline has, the RTA has. But you go to one organization, they take you to their 3rd floor and say, this is our innovation center. I went there. I said, this is Majlis. You know, they have beautiful cities, different colors, couches, corners with place for coffee and whatever. That's good, but it's not equipped enough to create this. We'll show you how the innovation center look like. But do we give them 0, those people? No, we give them something. You know why? Because they created a special area for teams to meet and talk innovation and have brainstorming, have development of certain services and so forth.
So how would one answer a question that requires us to give 200 words just so we can get 50 points? Like
It says not more than 2, but you could answer it for 50 words if you like. 100 words if you like. Depends on how good you are in, well, it's in English, by the way, yes. Short and crisp. Yes, English is critical here. Normally, when we used to fill application for the Dubai Government Excellence Program, we used to bring a journalist. Then we realized that this is the worst thing we can do because they will make it poetry. Okay, I remember the Dubai Government Excellence Program. We wanted to put the vision of the organization, which is a short statement. And this journalist looked, he said, I don't like it, I want to change it. How could you change it? It's the organization vision for the last, God knows how many years or whatever. So get people who are mixed between experts and people who are good in writing. At the same time, you need people to help you bring the documents. They could be in different locations and whatever, because supporting documents are very important. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. So my name is Ahmed, and indeed it's a great initiative. You know, helping the private sector.
Thank you, Ahmed. He just said it's a great initiative, and I heard it so clearly. Let's clap for Ahmed. Okay.
So it's it's indeed a great initiative helping the private sector with the framework, with the assessment, with the feedback and the comments that we'll get from the assessment. However, so far, I haven't seen like, where is the learning platform? Like, how is the 2 stars, 3 stars company gonna learn from the 5 stars? How are we gonna share?
Clap for Ahmed. Yes. Let me tell you what we're doing. After we send to each organization their feedback report, which shows their scores in each sub-criteria and criteria, it shows the areas of strengths and areas for improvement. Then we will pick the best practices from each organization without referring to the name of the organization and have it in one unified report as a benchmark for the 2018 cycle to say from our first cycle, this is what we gathered. So guys, if somebody in Dubai can do it, why can't you do it yourselves? If somebody in Rashidiyya can do it, why you in Sheikh Zayed Road can't do it as an organization? So you will be having that. Hopefully, but I cannot commit Dubai Quality Group for that. We have 2 members of the board here. They have frequent events. Maybe they can call some of the organization to share their experience. If we have organizations that are, I think that will be a decision for you guys. Yes, I will not commit you for the cost because Salman will kill me. Okay, he can't buy the penny. Okay, okay, where's Salman? Is Salman here? No, he's not here. Okay. Okay, so that would be the case. There will be a report recording all the best practices which we noticed in every criteria, and it will be like a booklet, and it will be sent to you, or we make it electronic, but it will be available to all of you. And if the board of directors agree, we can have an event to exchange views and experiences. Yes. Now, one thing here you will face, and this is, I call it the peril of the budget. This is a very big problem we face, peril of return on investment. And this is the chicken and egg situation. You come with a good idea, the jump manager will say, what's in it for us? How much money we will make? Or what's the return to investment? That's one of the dangerous things on innovation. You have to think meaning and not money. When you go for innovation, think meaning and not money. Meaning, what value would it give to your customers, to your society, and whatever? The money will find its way. The money is the fruit of what you will do. When they came up with the first Apple computer, they were doing it as a hobby. They didn't think of money. They want to give it to friends, in actual fact. The same thing with the Facebook when it was made. What was it made for? Anyone remember? It's just exchanging the university, the pictures of the good-looking girls and bad-looking girls and so forth. And talking about Facebook, it reminds me of something. Borrowing. Nothing wrong. I don't call it stealing. Borrowing. Take ideas from some other places. There are lots, if you are in a hospital, there are lots of hospitals in the world. Borrow ideas, modify it, make it suitable for your own segment of customers and so forth. Clear? That's called borrowing. Not industrial espionage, not stealing, it's borrowing. Borrow a good idea, build on it, do not have it as it is. Copycat is the worst strategy in innovation. Okay, you have to come up with something new for your own market or your competitors. So do not fall into the trap of the chicken and egg. Just, as I said, focus on the meaning and the value your idea will give to the world. Training. Now, look at us. When we buy a new technology, you remember when we had the computers instead of the typewriters? How much training we got? But and the same thing when we talk innovation. You have to train people, number one, how to work with each other. Number two, how to use their right brain and left brain, the analysis, the brainstorming, and so forth. Design thinking, what we call it. You have to train them mainly on the tools of innovation. And there are many of those tools, many. Brainstorming, which is known to us, is one very small a tool in the area of creativity, okay, which is at the very beginning of the funnel of innovation. But you need to train them on how to come up with really creative ideas, how to do a concept design, as example, how to do prototyping, how to do testing for products and so on, how to go out and find the real pain of the customers, not to guess on behalf of the customers. But again, said that, probably we need to say that if you only dependent on what the customer tell you, you will fail. And if you don't listen to your customer, you will also fail. Not always the customer knows what he needs. If you go to a lady in a kitchen, she will not say to you, I want air fryer to do my French fries. But when you see her having pain and she doesn't want to give a lot of fat to her kids and family, you have to, as I said, live her life, see how she handles herself in the kitchen. Then you come up with something which is less fattening, which is the air fryer. Anybody has air fryer in his house? Good lady, good man, Ahmed. Who else? You also have air fryer. Is it useful? When they invented it, did they come and talk to you? No. But they knew that this would do. But you yourself never thought of it until you saw it in the shop. In actual fact, every time I like a family, a friend of ours, we buy air fryer. I become one of those people who spend a lot of his money. And you know why? It's cheap and it looks big. And in a box. It's reasonable. So they give us good dinner normally. Okay. Training has 50 points. And when we talk about training, we're talking future skills mainly, future skills and innovation tools and techniques. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Sarah. I'm working with Enoch as an innovation manager. My question is that I want to ask, until when we should reflect the practices we have in our company?
Clap for Sarah, number one, and Enoch. They're very creative, Enoch. Okay. 2 years behind. If you have more, bring it. Anything from the start of Enoch, if you have some innovative things, bring it. Because when we talk about measures, when we talk about sustainability as example, we say what was the period you already have that initiative or program in place. Okay, so that will tell if you had it long. When you see the measures now, you will see that. Then we say how much you have in the pipeline. Some initiatives still in the pipeline. How many in the process now being done, okay? How many completed? There are stuff like this. So if you cover 2 years, that's good enough. But if you have more, put it.
But there are things like, for example, we are actually putting in the plan for 2018 in the first quarter, which I can reflect.
Yeah, that's called in the pipeline. That will be, you say now, the board approved or the organization approved, so initiative so and so, and it is starting and so and so. There has to be a start for every initiative. Some of them will be at the end, some people still, some still at what we call it idea generation stage, which is not even yet approved. In your case, this is approved. When you already have it for the 2018, yes, that would be a point to put. Huh? In 10 minutes, apparently, we'll have a break, I've been told. And I cannot say, no, this is my boss, my wife. Okay, 23 years of pain. Of happiness. I mix between pain and happiness sometimes. You see, 23 years ago, we agreed to make life easier. We came with a very innovative solution. Any important decision concern the family, the house, the children, whatever, I will take it. Any trivial little decision, Sue will take it. And for the last 23 years, we didn't have one single important decision. Very simple. Okay? So now you know who's the boss. Now we go to the innovation technology. Here we emphasize mainly digital. It is cheap, it connects you with the world, it makes life easier, it will make your better delivery of your values. And when I say values, I'm not talking about principle, I'm talking about the value to the customer, the way he sees it from his point of view, the value proposition. Technology is taking over the economy, industry by industry, and the entire global economy is in the process of becoming digitized. And I said it very clearly at the beginning, and believe me, I read it in more than one place from very good centers of research and the futurists. They're saying maximum 10 years, organizations who are not digitizing some of their services, at least 50% of those, they will say goodbye to us, okay? They will not be around. In the case of the consequences of technology, I don't need to tell you much about it, but what does it help you? What does technology help you with? I believe now, Enoch, I can go to the thing, and do you have an app, I think, or something? You can tell what they have and whatever, and you can choose either their supplier can. This is probably was not there 10 years ago. Okay? Many organizations now, when I told you about our friends Alibaba, one of the people in JVC who bought more than 5,000, no, much more than that, about 20,000 dirhams worth of those $25.3 billion was us, okay? Now, even if we buy vegetables, we go through a site and the vegetable will come to the house. So we become so lazy. In actual fact, I added so much in weight in the last 1 year simply because of the technology. Because before we used to move a little bit, okay? So technology could put everybody out of business. There is no second place when it strikes. When we had Facebook, everybody gone. Amazon, look at Amazon. Thousands of bookshops closed. Amazon is a platform, okay? I can give you hundreds of. What is Uber? Uber is the platform. Am I right? You know that. Yeah. Doesn't this guy remind you of an American actor? Huh? This guy there. Anybody told you about it? No, it's you. Don't look behind. Yes. Yeah, he looks as one of the actors I know. So in technology, winners takes all. Why, we ask ourselves, why all those beautiful innovation and technology are in the West? At the same time, when we look at the map of the world, we see that the economy is moving to the East. China, India, and whatever. This is the age of India and China. Okay, why? Now, no excuses. Do not be frightened of technology. 2 kids in a garage is not better than the people in your organization. Go for big stuff. Go for new innovation as much as you can. I said both are important, but always have a bias towards the one that uses technology. Platforms. Okay, here, innovation centers, we spoke about it a little bit. You have to have a place which represents a haven for your people. It can be used on a time basis. As example, this team will use it in the morning, this is in the hours or whatever, but it has to be connected to the world to be able to give you access to people who are willing to participate and help you with their ideas and contributions. It has to be comfortable. It has to be equipped. And preferably, if you can afford it, to have it outside of your headquarters. Preferably, the labs to be outside of the actual day-to-day business of your organization, to get your people away from the place of business. Now, I believe here in Dubai, the government of Dubai, as you know, Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Center, they have a beautiful thing which they allow other organizations. I don't know whether the private sector could do it, but I have seen also a lot of research done on how to have a city innovation lab, and maybe some organization in a certain industry to have one innovation lab, say, for hospitals. And they can all chip in, it's a rent plus whatever. And the innovation lab, different from one another in the sense that some of them will need scientific research. Others just for brainstorming, having good ideas, bringing it to improve processes, services, and so forth. So when you talk about a lab, it's not all of them the same kind. What is important about the lab is to have a place for people where they comfortably can exchange ideas freely, and you'll have places for groups, places for 2 people at the same time, and places for 1 individual. RTA has a good lab, Emirates Airline, but the one impressed me most is the Ministry of Interior. If you're serious about the innovation lab, you can write as a visit, benchmarking visit, to go and look at it and see how it is. And now, based on the instruction I received, I'll give you a break, and when we come back, we'll go to criteria 2. Yes, ma'am.
Because supposing internal funding 20 points, do we give points or do you give points? Do we self-assess?
No, you can use the thing as a self-assessment, but the people who will give points will be the assessor after they see your application.
Okay. So do you give 10 points out of 20?
It could be 10, could be 5, could be 15, could be actually, yes, it could be 20. Yeah, depends on where it is. As example, if you have a nice place, but without this, you probably get 5, you get 10.
Could I not have internal funding and could I have something else? So that's why I asked, is it mandatory?
No. So assume you yourself providing it. But when I say from outside, I meant there is no excuse. If you don't have it, find a way to get it. But if you have it yourself, fine.
So could I not put anything in funding and move on?
But how would you
That's what I'm
support the
asking.
thing?
So is it mandatory?
If you show it, you have to show it in your budget.
So I would have
Yes, you have to show
So
it.
that would be mandatory.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. As example, if you did training, this costs money.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small budget, but you have to show it.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, guys, thank you very much. Let's have a break.